Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame here. One thing you'll notice is that price began the session here pushing through the previous highs there and then dropping back down. We are now outside day down here, and at the moment the ES is attempting to recover or reestablish acceptance back above the previous session's low. That's going to be the key level to watch there. It's basically 46.05s. Can price continue to hold that level? If so, there could be a short-term rotation back toward 46.31, 46.36, and maybe even higher. But any failure to hold above that low could open up much more selling pressure ahead. If we take a look here at this wider chart here, one thing we've continued to follow: previous quarter's high, previous quarter's close, both offered to begin the year. When those two are offered, there's a tendency to go to the midpoint of the previous quarter. That's the next major level of emphasis, and that's the next target down below. So we're looking for a move down toward the 45.20 zone, 45.40 zone. That could be an opportunity there to watch for rejection, perhaps into the LVN at 44.90 and the key range low, and that could begin to bring this thing back up. But right now we're still seeing weakness on a swing basis, medium term basis here, lower highs, lower lows, and now price pushing through that that major pivot low midpoint from a couple of weeks back. That break could lead to a continuation here. So continuing to watch to see how this plays out as price approaches the previous quarter's midpoint. Here's a look at the NQ. The NQ also seeing weakness here, failed new high, outside day down briefly, and now also, like the ES, is attempting to hold above the previous session's low price, 15.312, 15.313 or so. That zone right there, that's the level to watch, at least on an intraday basis. Again, holding that 15.320 zone or 15.315 zone, that could open up a return back toward 460, perhaps even as high as 15,500 on an intraday basis. But any failure to hold that low, though, will open up quite a bit more selling pressure ahead, and we could be looking at the next FOMC key level down, the 200-day. That's going to be 14.9. Again, against the quarterly moving average, or rather the quarterly pivots here, you have a rejection of that previous quarter's high and close, or there's the high but out of the close. That takes you back to the mid. We're right now sitting, if we take a look here at these pivots, below the midpoint, and that would tend to lead you now to the low. So if price cannot get back above the 15,560s very soon and reclaim that level, it's an opening back toward 14,980, followed by a move all the way across the range to 14.4. That would be the next major area to watch for. Rejection would be down here at the quarterly low into the CLVN, below this support, and that would provide an opportunity to get it back going to the upside. So right now, that midpoint on a quarterly basis, very, very important here for the NQ. Let's take a look now at crude oil. Crude oil continues to push higher. It has now reached our intraday key range target of 84.94. So hit those 85s. That's the intraday key range here. One of the things we've mentioned is that this market, ever since it reclaimed 76s right here, was en route to 86s, which is the top end of this range. Once we get to the top end up here, there may be some overspray to the upside, 85, 86, maybe 86.50 or 87, and then we'll watch for signs of rejection, because at that point we will likely see a move all the way back to 76. And at that point we may see it bounce right back up, and now we're still inside this distribution. So at the moment we could be 1 or 2 days away from a near-term top here in crude oil. Again, watching for signs of rejection above or at 86s. That would open up a return back towards 76s, and again, that could be another buying opportunity. It's a 10-point range, 76 to 86 right now. Any push and hold through 86 starts to open up the 90s, and we have some targets up above there as well, as high as 96 based off this recent key range. So that's the longer term target here, is there's your key range that developed. We've gotten some great move, nice higher low and go, and we've gotten the breakout. So we could pull back in this scenario as shallow as 80 and still be a continuation for 87.60 and 96 ahead. So how far do we pull back on this next rotation? Is it as deep as 76? Is it shallow like 80? Whatever it may be, could offer a great continuation again to the next target above, 87.63, with a shot at overshooting to 96. All right, let's take a look real quickly at gold futures here. Gold futures coiling up. It's been coiling up the entire year thus far. It is at the apex of a very, very clear compression that has developed over the last year plus. A major move is coming out of this range at some point. You'll see here the PivotBoss bands. These are set to the fiscal year, which begins last October here, and you can see how compressed they have become. We may continue to see some price action here within these bands as they further compress, but at some point a big breakout could be seen ahead. Which way is it going to be? That's the big question. And as we've continued to note, ever since the August 2020 highs, every single rally has been hit with major selling pressure every single time, which means the next major failure could lead to a downside break, and we could be rotating back down towards 1600, 1500, and maybe all the way back to this 1450 LVN. So again, we are building energy, compressing. At some point we will begin to see the move, whether it's to the upside, and the upside could get it as high as 2000 perhaps, where these recent highs have been, but more than likely if there's a rejection up here, it could lead to a steady downside move into the next major CLVNs below. Alright, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now continues to remain within a downtrending market structure. You see here the bearish PEMA trigger zone, which we noted before as being the overhead headwinds here, continues to remain intact, and price is pushing lower. This right now suggests a lower low ahead, and that would take us below 40K, perhaps below this low here of 39,470, right, a lower low. And at that point, if we see some sort of significant rejection, there could be a lower low fade for a pullback towards, say, this high or this previous close. There could be that move on a swing basis. If that rejection does not occur and we straight up see a transition day through 40K, that transition day right there could be pointing to the next major level below, which is basically 29 to 30K right there. And you have a major CLVN below that into 25. Again, nothing says that this thing can't get down to that zone, and market structure tends to lead the way. 40K right now, very, very important on this next move. Is it going to break 40K and get a transition day? If so, we could be looking at 30 to 25. This could be an ultimate trap zone for a push back up. But right now, short term, everything suggests more downside until proven otherwise, and we got to watch 40K for the next major test. Again, if price can close above today's midpoint, that would be indicative of maybe a short-term rotation higher already, as a higher low would be in development. Lastly, taking a look here at Ethereum. Ether futures here down 5%. Very similar price action to Bitcoin, downtrending market structure. Again, notice these smaller blue signals. These are trend confirmed signals, which suggest that the market has to be in a very clear, defined trend in order for those to fire. And the fact that it's firing here, again, it needs the end of the day to stick, but the fact that it's firing suggests that again, this market remains bearish until proven otherwise, at least on a near-term basis. Now, we still have that major support level down below, 2750. That's going to be a big-time level to watch. If price can get into that zone, that could provide the next significant bounce opportunity. And from that level, you need 5,500 to double. that would be a tremendous move here, and that's been the level of support for a while. Like Bitcoin, this is kind of like the 40K level though. If you fail at this level, it could open up the next major market structure level below. That takes you down to 1750 right here, and that zone right there would be an ultimate buy opportunity for this particular cryptocurrency here, as it could rotate this thing all the way back up the range for a significant gain overall. So again, where are we within this range? We have a value high, we have value, and a value low. Right now we're at value, and we could continue to chop around as we did before, but if it is taken offered very quickly, that could be indicative of a rotation below value for an opportunity back to it down the road. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the week. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trader room. Take care.